A mine lurks in a harbor. It waits for a large ship. A homemade bomb hides on the side of a road. It won't take much to set it off. A ship's hull is badly damaged from enemy fire. Without repair, the ship will go down. There's one elite team that can handle it all. It's what they're trained to do. Tonight on Truth, Duty, Valor, the Navy's diving and demolition experts train for threats that are real. Their job is to clear things that explode. Whether on land or at sea, they call themselves clearance divers. It's 1942. Bombs fall and litter the landscape. Innocent blood is shed. Whole cities perish. For the second time in history, the whole world is at war. The enemy peppers European harbors with mines. Ships sink. Sailors die. Something must be done. Allied navies responded with divers and trained them to find and get rid of bombs in the roughest conditions. They earned a reputation as Iron Men, strangers to fear, men who take enormous risks for their comrades. The clearance diver was born.
Check your buddy out, guys. Check your struts.
Today, the legacy of the Iron Men continues. They still dive deep for demolitions, but their role has expanded. They get involved in emergency salvage operations. They repair vessels damaged in combat. They are even in Afghanistan fighting the war on terrorism, one explosive at a time. Clearance divers are in demand, and the job is more dangerous than ever. Tucked in a small cove in Victoria, British Columbia, is one of the smallest but busiest units in the military, the Fleet Diving Unit Pacific. This is where hopes turn into realities. This is where hard work pays off. This is where clearance divers are made.
Who do you want to be? Clearance divers! Come on, you're on. 32. Put your hands beside your head. Let's go. Come on. 35. Good job.
Training to be a clearance diver is tough. It has to be. One mistake could mean death for many. The Navy takes 1 out of 4 applicants and puts them through 2 weeks of hell they call the prelim.
Well, come on, keep up with those inner guys, eh?
Most don't make the cut. The exhausted drop out. The weak are asked to leave. To face a bomb at a depth of 200 feet and not even flinch isn't for everyone.
I'm watching you, Beaton. If I see you do that again, Beaton, I'm gonna bring you...
Of the men and women left standing at the end, only the best qualify for a 1-year course. If they graduate from the course, they become expert divers and explosion technicians. Only 120 Canadians call themselves clearance divers. It's the crack of dawn at the Fleet Diving Unit. This morning, there's a fresh batch of clearance diver hopefuls. These students are 9 months away from graduation. Only the best make it this far.
Hey, Fontaine, gonna beat Noseworthy today?
Intense physical activity is the first lesson, every day. Leading seaman Dan Larche is the man responsible for making sure this class gets enough exercise.
This morning is sometimes, at least monthly, every 2 or 3 weeks, we run a PT test. And it's just a kind of a gauge of their overall fitness, to see where they are in their aerobic and muscular endurance, aerobic capacity and muscular endurance. It involves a 1.5 mile run, a morning swim, and sit-ups in a minute, and as many push-ups and chin-ups as they can do until they can't do anymore. Ready to go? 8 minutes. Ready? Go!
They'd better get used to it. For clearance divers, it's mandatory to maintain a high level of fitness. Being part of an elite team takes a lot of sweat and determination. Their motto is strength in depth.
PT is an important part of the clearance diver course, and the fact that because the job can be very demanding, guys need to be at a certain level of physical fitness, be it aerobically and strength, endurance. So part of my job is to ensure that they meet those goals.
24. Come on! Patrick, good run, good run.
Paid 43. Not my best, but I'll take it.
Leading seaman Al Fontaine is pumped to be on the course. Al is 34 years old. He's from Cornwall, Ontario.
I tried once, I didn't make it. I tried again, I made it. I just love it. I think it's the elite of the elite. They're the best divers in the world, and you get cool gear.
Although Al is well on his way to becoming a clearance diver,
That wasn't 20.
he still has a lot of hard work to do between now and graduation. These guys need to give 120% all of the time. And constant improvement is expected every day.
Go. 2 steps far, get up.
What about Watson? What about Watson? Good job.
Everything the students do is measured. Even how long it takes them to get changed. A clearance diver has to be able to react with lightning speed and accuracy, and that takes a lot of practice. The clearance diver students are nearly done their physical training test. Their muscles burn, and it isn't even 8 a.m. They push forward with everything they've got. The key to survival in this job is to stay focused and not let anything distract you. In spite of nudges from his new swimming buddy, the student doesn't miss a stroke. A clearance diver must stay calm in the midst of chaos. When you're a diver facing a bomb, you need nerves of steel. Although it's not a race, everyone wants to be at the top of the class. They're evaluated on every move.
26. 15-26. Good swim.
I was looking for the closest guy behind me, and I looked back and I was right at my fin. I thought it was one of the guys at first, and then it followed me for about half the loop. Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Go Fontaine, get in here.
Al secures second place. He struggles to stay at the top of the class.
Say again?
16:08.
Who's your Billy?
Myself, it's extremely hard. It's good for us. Our instructors are getting us in peak physical fitness. So when we do these 2-hour swims, it's better for us. It's hard, but you push through. It's like me right now. I've lost so much weight and I feel great sometimes.
I thought it was Billy I was following. There's a friggin' seal. It's crazy, eh?
I thought it was you, man. I'm like, where's it going?
18-15.
Remember, guys, we get out together.
The students know that they must get out of the water as a team. They know from experience that when they don't practice teamwork whenever possible, they get more physical training. And they've had their fill.
Someone step on my fin. Step on my fin.
Okay, boys, 15 minutes, start free dive.
Yeah, I'm gonna move the boat back here.
The clearance diver course is designed to give the students a taste of the job that awaits them. Lieutenant Rick Kappel completed his course 3 years ago. Rick is 36. He's been in the Navy for 16 years. He says the clearance diver course is one of the toughest in the military, and he wouldn't want it any other way.
The course is certainly challenging. I mean, it's a year of testing your physical and mental limits. But at the end, what you're left with are people that really want to be here. People that are self-motivated, that are the elite. And those are the kind of people that we want to work with.
The one-year course includes dive medicine and recompression treatment, learning to dive with different types of equipment,
Emergency ascent.
demolitions, underwater power tools, explosive ordnance disposal, or EOD, tons of physics and theory, and of course, lots of physical training. And all of this for a pair of dolphins and a really dangerous job. After hours of physical training, it's time for the students to work out a different muscle. While the students write an exam on mixed gas theory, the clearance divers at the Fleet Diving Unit are busy at work. Leading seaman Brisson is a graduate from the last clearance diver course. Joss is 25 years old. He's been a clearance diver for 2 years. Joss now works with the battle damage repair team. This is usually where fresh students go to sharpen their new skills and get more comfortable with the equipment. You want to be very comfortable with doing tasks underwater before you think about sticking your diving mask into a live mine. Here, he learns to be a handyman of the sea.
Battle damage repair, BDR. We pretty much do anything on the water, maintenance-wise, sweeps, bottom searches, jetty searches. Anything that's in the way, we move it out of the way. Anything that's broken, well, we fix it.
It's a fundamental skill for all divers. Navy divers have always taken care of underwater repairs. It's a lot cheaper to send a diver down to a ship than drag the whole thing up to the surface.
Pat the divers.
And it's the skills learned here with the battle damage repair team that divers use to help people and nations facing disaster. Hurricane Katrina rips through the Gulf Coast of the United States. It devastates the land, kills hundreds, leaves an economic mess. It's the costliest natural disaster in U.S. history. Chief Petty Officer Mark Oliver supervised a team of divers in New Orleans in the aftermath of the hurricane.
We joined our Fleet Diving Unit Atlantic and combat engineers from Gagetown, and we met with them in the Gulf region. And we conducted surface supplied diving operations in salvaging of items ranging from the size of a refrigerator to a 100-ton vessel. We did extensive side scan surveying of the waterways there to allow them to get their shipping back, because commerce down there is everything. So we weren't a lot of men, but it was a lot of work.
In major salvage operations like cleaning up after a natural disaster, divers perform surface-supplied diving. Surface-supplied diving allows you to dive up to 330 feet and stay in constant communication with your buddies on the surface. It's a luxury they don't always have.
Hold your breath, check release. Left surface.
Leading seaman Jocelyn Brisson is the diver for the exercise.
This is probably one of the safest ways to dive. You got an umbilical on you, which is way tougher than a normal rope. You have a helmet on you in case something happens on the surface. There's no air coming to you down there. You have that huge tank on your back. So really, it's probably the safest way.
Safe is a relative term when you mix diving and power tools. Before a diver is put into a dangerous situation, a lot of training is needed. At the Battle Damage Repair Team, divers become experts in all sorts of tools.
The cutting torch, the welder, the underwater welder, well, on the surface as well, but everything we can do underwater, we do on the surface as well. It's mainly underwater welding. We have hydraulics, pneumatic tools, underwater chainsaw, underwater jackhammer, underwater circular saws, you name it, we have it. And that's all, just to, whatever obstructions are down there, you never know what you get, right? So that's why we're pretty much trained on everything.
In order to keep their skills sharp between duties and operations, the instructors put their team through regular training exercises. Keeping fresh means keeping alive. Joss's training task today is to find a metal obstruction and cut it into 6 pieces at 60 feet. This task is easy for Joss. He's been with the Battle Damage Repair Team for 2 years now and is well practiced. Most people will never operate a blowtorch while wearing over 100 pounds of equipment and standing at the bottom of the ocean. For Joss, it's just another day at the office. And he loves his office attire for today, a heated suit.
It's like a personal spa, right? You're sitting at 300 feet and you have hot water. By the time it reaches you, it's probably like 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's quite comfortable. I don't know why nobody else wants to be a clearance diver,
Diving is dangerous and highly technical. The clearance diver students have to know every detail about diving to great depths and the equipment needed to get there. Back at the Fleet Diving Unit, the students learn how to assemble a different type of diving kit. It's called a pre-dive, and it's highly technical.
This is the flask for slates.
It takes weeks of training to get it right.
You got any flows there?
As part of this phase of training, they're diving CCDA, Canadian Clearance Diving Apparatus. It's our shallow water rebreather. And a pre-dive is something that every student needs to do to prep their set for diving. So it's a matter of checking gases, checking flow rates for the different gases, soda lime for scrubbing CO2 out of the system. And generally with CCDA, once you get, it's a fairly simple system. And once you get down to doing it on a regular basis, you can do a pre-dive in about 10, 15 minutes. As a student, and they're still new, and this is only the second week for them, typically pre-dives are taking about 30 to 40 minutes, providing everything is smooth.
The Canadian Clearance Diver Apparatus, or CCDA, is used in mine countermeasures. It's capable of diving to 180 feet. It's specially designed to help a diver come face to face with explosives. They need to know this kit inside and out. This is life-saving technology.
On your back, outside of the water, it's pretty heavy after a while. Once you get in the water, it's awesome. It's, light as air. The piece of equipment itself is so expensive, so you're so careful around it. You got to be meticulous with everything you do on it.
Al finishes setting up his kit. An instructor tests it for flaws.
Okay, Fontaine, give me the spiel.
Connections.
Because of the complexity of the diving sets, many consider this phase of the course the hardest.
Mask is on at.
Yep.
BCB closed. Quarter turn bailout closed. Plugs are in. Okay, ready for leak test. They say it's the hardest part of the course. For me, I love it. It's just everything's different every day. It's just continuous. It's you never know what's going to happen around the next corner.
Well, okay, well, you can start pushing the ground.
Can I figure out what's wrong?
No, go
wrong.
push the ground and then figure out what's going on. And then call me.
It turns out, around the corner for Al is another round of push-ups.
13, 14,
Physical training is often used as motivation for the students to remember their mistakes and never make them again.
44, 45.
A mistake now might mean push-ups, but a mistake on the job could mean a life. Most likely, yours. The leak test is Al's final hurdle for the pre-dive. A diver can't afford to lose any gas.
I can see your bypass. So I can see your bypass and your bailout. Okay, up.
If bubbles come out of his diving kit now, he could be pushing the ground all day.
Right? Go for leaks.
Al makes the grade, and the set is safe to dive.
We're going to do 2 teams at a time, one off the left-hand side of the float and one off the right-hand side of the float. You'll enter the water, float guy first, followed by the buddy diver. Once you're hooked up, give me the thumbs up, conduct a leak check. Once you've conducted your leak check, give me the thumbs up that you guys are good, well for leaks, and I'll send you on your way. Float diver in the water.
The students spend the rest of their week diving specialized equipment, the Canadian Clearance Diver Apparatus.
Okay, buddy up.
They navigate using a compass. It allows them to enter the water and stay hidden while they approach their target. It's a skill essential for wartime operations.
Attack swimming operations are normally conducted at nighttime. The reason for that is it's not as easy for the enemy to detect divers at night, and there's fewer observers at night as well. The attack swimming operations normally include placing explosive charges on an enemy ship or enemy port installation. So avoiding detection is of extreme importance. We don't do it now, but it's something that we train for because we train to conduct a variety of operations.
Diving deep to get rid of dangerous explosives is the reason clearance divers exist. At the Fleet Diving Unit, it's the Mine Countermeasures team that deals with underwater threats.
Mine Countermeasures is just EOD in the water, but we mostly deal with mines. They say mine countermeasures, but there's all kinds of mines, and there's, torpedo mines, there's bottom influence, there's moored mines, there's floating mines, so it's quite involved, but realistically, it's just EOD in the water.
To work in the Mine Countermeasures team, clearance divers need a lot of extra training on explosives.
We do a 7-month course after a 7-week course, so I guess all in all, we do about 9 months of training just for that EOD aspect.
Mine Countermeasures is mostly used in times of war. In peacetime, clearance divers use their skills to clean up explosive messes from past wars. The world's waterways are littered with explosives. 75% of the damage to U.S. Navy ships is a result of mines. Today, there are still 49 countries that have mine-laying capabilities. The end of mine warfare is nowhere in sight. The Mine Countermeasures team trains regularly. These divers could be called out on a mission at any time. In a world where bombs are the enemy's weapon of choice, clearance divers have to be ready for anything. And the only way you're ever going to stay calm facing a bomb on the bottom of the ocean is practice.
Task will be to investigate, ID, and conduct overpressurization and lift, tow, and beach of any mine found in the vicinity of our target area. Currently, that area is marked with a mine recognition buoy.
These divers are answering a call to check out a suspicious shape at the bottom of an inlet nearby. This is a practice run, but they go through the same procedures as if it was a real call. This is leading seaman Wade Smith. He is the diver for today's training exercise. Wade, or Smitty, has been a clearance diver for 6 years. He's 34 years old. He has a long history of diving and demolitions.
Well, I was in the Army. I was in 1 Combat Engineer Regiment, and I guess I was there for about a year. And some buddies of mine became combat divers. Once I became a combat diver, I did my course out here, and it was 8 weeks back then. And at that time, I decided right there that I wanted to come and be a clearance diver. So I thought, well, I can do this full time, all the time. What could be better? And I must say I love the West Coast.
Sometimes they use real explosives for training, but often it's about going through the motions on a mine that has had its explosives stripped from it. But even though the training mine can't kill, Wade takes it dead serious.
When you're talking about 500 plus pounds or kgs of explosives in one device, I don't think there'll be much left of you, so. But it is a bit, it's a bit nerve-wracking. Even just if you're doing it as a training evolution, if you have the mindset that it is a live mine, it makes the evolution more rewarding, right? It's important to understand that mine countermeasures is a huge operation. We're just a very, very small part of it. Depending on which countries that we're working with, we're going to use different types of side scan sonar to actually locate the mines, or locate mine shapes. And we'll be given a list of those shapes and coordinates to those shapes.
Side scanners like this one are used to monitor harbors and coastlines.
The side scan sonar will locate mine shapes. That's just anything that looks like a mine. It could be a coral, it could be a rock, it could be a crab trap. But anything that looks like that has to be investigated. To investigate those, we're going to use bottom object inspection vehicle, we're going to use some sort of ROV, or else we're going to use diver. And depending if we're working with a different country, you might even use a mammal.
For their training scenario, a side scanner has already detected a suspicious object. The divers have been given the coordinates of the object. It's time to investigate. Now, the real danger starts.
On the side, stand by, dive. Stand by to dive. And dive. Time. 11, 11. 20 feet. 30 feet. Very good. 40 feet. Very good.
When diving on a mine, every movement is slow and calculated. It has to be. A mistake can be deadly.
Go down slow, deliberate. Don't make any real sudden movements. There's a threat of acoustic, seismic, or magnetic influence on that mine shape. So I want to be slow. I want to have no magnetic signature on me, and I don't want to make any noise.
Wade uses a handheld sonar called the 2 Alpha. It allows him to hear what's going on in the area.
It just makes a pinging noise, and it makes different sounds if you ping off different types of objects. Like a stainless steel object will sound totally different than rock, will sound different than concrete, so on. So you have to kind of get in the water and use this thing and find out what different objects sound like, so that when you actually dive and try to find an object, you know what it's going to sound like. Because the visibility was good, as I descended down the shot line, I could actually see it, and I could pick it up with the 2 Alpha, and I could do my ID from the shot line, which is probably one of the best things to do, because then you don't have to get too close to it.
Wade finds the mine right away. It's a Rockan, a modern Swedish mine. In war, mines like these write a lot of death certificates. The diver needs to destroy the mine. The best way to deal with deadly explosives is to blow them up. He attaches an explosive charge onto the mine. With explosives, knowledge is power. Leading seaman Wade Smith takes comfort in knowing that mines on the bottom of the ocean are not after small targets like himself. The enemy gets more bang for their buck when the destruction is huge.
you have to understand also that the mines aren't there to go off just for any vessel. They don't want that mine to go off if a little fishing vessel goes over. They're waiting for the big one. They're waiting for that aircraft carrier, and they're designed to actually go off according to that signature that vessel will give off.
There are two basic types of mines: contact mines and influence mines. Contact mines explode when touched with the right force. Influence mines are sneaky. They are programmed to destroy only specific targets, and they can lay on the bottom of the ocean for up to a year waiting for the right moment. Most influence bottom mines are activated magnetically or acoustically, or both. Magnetically influenced mines have a magnetometer inside that senses metal around it. If a large vessel were to sail 100 meters above it, it sees it and wakes up the mine. The destruction is devastating. The bottom line is, you never know how sensitive a mine is, and it's in the diver's best interest to take it slow. Once the mine has been rendered safe, the diver goes back down one last time. This time, it's to attach a lifting bag to the neutralized mine.
That lifting bag is a very, very high-tech piece of equipment because it only inflates so much at a time, and it'll lift that object at a certain rate so that it won't just rocket to the surface.
The mine will be attached to one side of the line. We have it brought to the beach so that when the boat tows the line back out to sea, it brings the line into the beach. And that way you always have a safe separation between the mine and the boat itself.
When a mine drifts into a harbor, you don't know if it's traveling alone. Sending a boat in to investigate could mean suicide for the crew. The most sensible way for a diver to enter a possible minefield is by helicopter. Lieutenant Rick Kappel.
This morning we're practicing mine countermeasures on surfaced contact mines or drifting mines. The scenario here would be that the enemy has admittedly mined the approaches to the harbor with contact mines. The mine hunting fleet has gone out, cut the tether to the mine has come to the surface, and now it's our job as the clearance divers to destroy the mine using explosive charge.
This training mine is from World War II. Fully loaded, it contains about 600 kilograms of explosives. Today's contact mines have a new package, but the dangers are the same. The helo pilots hover low so the divers can jump in. The operation must be quick. The divers want to spend as little time next to the mine as possible.
One person holds the main countercharge, which can be anywhere from 5 to about 20 pounds of explosives. And then the other guy has the initiation set.
Separately, they are harmless, but together, they're deadly. One diver carefully puts the explosive charge on the mine. He begins to swim back. The other diver stays behind. Someone's got to light the match. The first diver is hoisted to safety.
Our extraction is the most important element of this operation, and the helicopter would normally extract this with a spy harness, so it's very quick.
The second diver activates the charge and swims hard. In war, his life depends on it.
It's a significant rush coming at you of water and wind. And it's of course pushing away from the helicopter until you get right underneath it, and there's a small eye right where the harness is, and then it's the last 10 feet's pretty
like a
easy.
storm, I guess.
Like a storm, yeah, and it is quite a storm.
The divers safely make their escape, and the war on mines has been won for another day.
Make sure he understands that it's just our job. There's no way we can fix it.
Afghanistan,
We just had a controlled dead.
a country littered with military ordnance from past wars, a world pockmarked with the aftermath of bombs, a society cratered with fear.
Okay, guys, we're on the move.
Bomb disposal experts are in high demand. Clearance divers from both coasts get called to duty. It's a long way from the chilly Canadian coastline to the deserts of Afghanistan. But when it comes to explosives, the clearance diver is no fish out of water. Some of these men have worked with the EOD units in Afghanistan. The others could easily find themselves on the next rotation. It's a dangerous job with a rumored bounty on their lives. For security considerations, Truth, Duty, Valor hides their identities.
Improvised devices in theater or anywhere for that matter can be made from pretty much anything. Anything can be a suspect device. It can be made from garbage cans, old piece of military ordnance that's hooked up with wires, cell phones, infrared things on the side of the road, buried. So it's a very high risk that almost anything that seems suspicious could be very dangerous.
IEDs are improvised explosive devices. They're cheap and easy to make. In Afghanistan, it's an IED war. More and more clearance divers are coming out of the water to lend a hand. At the Fleet Diving Unit Pacific, divers in the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team, or EOD, carry out land-based bomb disposal tasks. They've been doing it for decades. They help rid the southern Vancouver Island region of explosives, from strange boxes at airports to Grandpa's souvenir grenades from World War II. They are surprisingly busy.
We're off on calls. Generally, we're averaging a little over one a week right now for our calls. We've had about 53, 54 calls this year so far for all different various sorts of ordnance.
Whether it's an IED in Afghanistan or a mysterious package on the side of the road in Canada, the method is the same. Kill the bomb without getting killed. This is tricky when the bad guys play a good game.
The devices over there, as well as being made from anything, they're changing their methods for employing them, detonating them at all times. So we constantly have to change to keep up with with new methods to defeat each item.
When an object is suspected of being a bomb, the EOD unit is called in. They keep their distance and send a robot in to investigate. Robots are always better than humans. You can replace a robot. The robot has a high-tech camera on it. It's the eyes of the diver. They control the robot from a safe distance. When a robot is working, there's one less human in harm's way. The Mk2 robot is rated the best performing small bomb disposal robot on the market today. This is world-class equipment. The robot finds a crude but effective bomb. Using the robot, the divers move the bomb to a sheltered location. The IED is then destroyed. After the threat of the IED is neutralized, the package must be inspected. It's possible that explosive parts remain. Unfortunately, this is something no robot can do. One of the divers must make the approach. This diver wears a high-tech bomb suit. It offers him some protection, but it's no match for a bomb. They call this part the long walk. You never know if you're going to get bitten at the other end. It is the most dangerous part of the job.
Being focused on the task and the job with your surrounding environment, the things going through your mind, you know, it's kind of the pointy end of the stick, but you have to be focused on what you're doing. So there's not a lot going on in your mind other than the fact that what you have to do when you get down there onto a device or a piece of ordnance or whatever it might be, because you're unsure of how hazardous it's going to be. So.
This time, the long walk was a safe one. It's an anticlimactic end to a long day. But in the EOD business, that's exactly how you want every day to end.
Checking 2.
It's the crack of dawn. Another typical morning at the Fleet Diving Unit Pacific. The place buzzes with activity.
2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 6.
The students have their usual dose of physical training for breakfast.
30, 31, 32, 33.
It doesn't end once you become a full-time clearance diver. Everyone must do at least 1 hour of physical training every day. Most guys train a lot more than that. It's part of who they are. While some work on their muscles, others work on their stamina.
Just staying in shape, I mean, for any job, it's just a must, I think. But just as you saw with all the weight that we carry around, if you can't carry, a couple extra, 100 pounds, I guess it's a lot, but working out, it's just one for physical, mental fitness. It just helps out during the day.
Nothing better than Monday morning hockey. Good work.
The students on the clearance diver course have 9 months to go. No 2 days are the same, but every day is a test. Leading seaman Fontaine isn't diving this morning. His role is safety diver in case of an emergency. With all of the dangers of diving, accidents do happen.
Let's get him off the step. Carefully. Managing airway. Check his ABCs. Are you O2 ready?
Myself, I was boat driver, so I grabbed the O2 out of the boat, brought it over, and we put it on the stricken diver, and then I helped them bring him up and then bring him into the chamber.
This is just another test. The diver isn't really injured, but the students react with lightning speed, as though a buddy's life is really on the line.
Time is of the essence with any kind of diving injuries. We have to get them back, assess, and if required, put them into the chamber as quickly as possible and get them under pressure. It's critical.
The students bring the injured diver straight to one of the decompression chambers at the Fleet Diving Unit.
Let's move further into the chamber. The recompression chamber simulates water pressure. So when we say we pressurize to 60 feet in the chamber, there's no water, but it's equivalent to the same pressure that a diver would experience at 60 feet in the ocean.
The students pass another test.
Okay, patient is miraculously recovered. You can take him off O2, stand by to travel in 30 seconds.
They got their buddy to the chamber in time.
You want to make sure that your buddies are there to look after you. So we trust each other with our lives.
From beginning to end, being a clearance diver is dangerous, exciting, and tough. Although the job is demanding, the payoff is rewarding. You get a job with variety and a tight-knit group of people to work with. And of course, a lot of diving.
You know, the job is dangerous, and sometimes it's miserable. It's cold, it's raining, it's dark out, you're working to all hours of the night. But we always seem to have fun. Everybody that works here really wants to be here. Everyone's self-motivated, and everybody has fun with each other. And I think that's the main reason why I like this job.
Myself, I like the teamwork. I come from 16 years in the Navy. You don't see much of it. A lot of people, you get the clicks. When I first came out here, I was here for 8 years. I knew a lot of guys that went clearance diver.
As a clearance diver, you can be deployed overseas. You do spend some time away from home on exercise or on training, but the family support here at the unit is incredible. You know, we all know each other's families. We know the wives by first name, and we look after each other, and that kind of family support at the unit goes a long way.
After their physical training, the clearance divers head off into different subunits. Another long day of training and operation begins. The divers at the fleet diving units are ready to respond to any situation and remain true to the unit motto, strength in depth.
That's right. Break. That's going.